I think we'll open on Julia today, my co-host. She's pumping her fist, getting ready for today's show.
Yes.
The Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, Julia Vedica. We are live here in Studio B, as usual, at the Beach Street Yacht Club in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. I'm your host, Tom Eamon. Welcome to the show. We love the 12-meter intro that Gary Jobson helped us prepare many moons ago.
I was just thinking that as I saw it again. I love that.
And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this show today, show number 920. Here's the starting line. It is Tuesday, so happy Tuesday and happy start of the 2026 season for what major and esteemed tour, Julia?
The a sailing tour?
A sailing tour, indeed. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that. We'll also give you a brief preview of the first event. It's in China of said tour. That's starting tomorrow. Today's the practice race, day 0. It's over. SailGP will debut in Valencia, Spain, the 5th through the 6th of September. Now you maybe know why I had that segment in the show the other day about Las Fallas.
Yes.
Because it's Valencia's coming back into the sailing picture. And we'll talk about that. And where will that SailGP race course be located is the question on everybody's mind. Mm-hmm. Well, some of us. Coaching corner, Jon Emmett. It's usually better to have too much communication than too little. So says John in his report today. The feature today, the jousting Knights, Sir Jim and Sir Ben are back at it, and now apparently in quarter about to be. Is the challenge of record in the meantime, the Royal Yacht Squadron, are they an emperor? An emperor with no clothes, no boat? Are they a challenger of record without a boat? Mm-hmm. By the way, Hamish Ross is going to be on the show a week from today.
Oh, good.
I spoke with Hamish at some length this morning. He's going to come on. Having been watching this very carefully, he has some alarming. If I were the challenger of record, if I were the Royal Yacht Squadron, and I talked to Hamish this morning, as I did.
Yes.
But if they had talked to him, I think they might be alarmed at what his observations are. Next Tuesday, Hamish Ross. In the meantime, the Jousting Knights, we'll talk about that, of course, but also in AC38 with the March 31st deadline upon us. We'll give you updates on Chris Poole, KK and Kenny, that challenge. John Sweeney's legal actions in New York, including a one hears.
Yes.
Finally, I think I've gotten to the bottom of what yacht club the KK challenge, KK and K as I call them, Carl Komarek and Kenny Reed, that KK and K challenge hopes to represent. Julia, take shelter.
Okay.
Take shelter. Last leg, the ILCA Asia Cup 2026 just wrapped up in Taipei. We'll have a report on that. And then, of course, this day in history, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and, of course,
The fantastic
FOSI. Speaking of FOSI, we've got lots of, oh, man, look at the comments.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an earlier start in the UK. I'm not going to go into all the time changes that are about to happen in Europe and then down under because you all will figure it out. Jon Emmett's loving, though, the earlier time right now until they go on daylight time. It'll be an hour later. Ed Worley, cheers. Indeed, Ed. Back in Michigan after our annual retiree snowbird migration to Florida. Jeff Kitson is saying, avoiding the snow down in the Florida Panhandle. Greetings from the Gold Coast, says Greg Phillips, Gold Coast of Australia. Larry Kennedy saying hi from Long Island. I wonder if he knows the yacht club that they're challenging through.
I don't know.
Hello to everybody. It's cold in London. Spring has sprung back again. Well, it's this time of year where it gets cold and hot and cold and hot. We had a beautiful week last week, Julia.
We did.
Huh?
We did.
We had summer.
Our one real week of summer.
Probably the end of the summer here in San Francisco.
Well, this side of San Francisco, anyway.
Well, it's chilly here normally, 55, 60, 65. Hello from Philadelphia. Mary Jude Samansky says, hi, MJ. As Chris Exley is saying hi from up north of Boston. Peter Taylor, also New York City. Audio sounds like you are in a toilet, just like Sirs Ben and Jim, Pedro Foiling Sailor, is saying. Mm-hmm. Well, that is because we have given Julia back her, see that mic? She has that overhead shotgun mic because she hated that other mic. And what we're getting is a little bit of, from my voice going into Julia's mic.
Yeah, a little room noise.
A little room tone along with that. But more importantly, we're getting some spill from my voice. But that's the price you pay for keeping your co-host and the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club hack. She hated that other close-up mic, so as a birthday present, I gave her back her shotgun mic over the weekend. Alistair Murray Gadai from Meetong. He's out at his holiday home. Mark Wharton Reed is again in Singapore, Michigan, over there on the West Coast. Jousting is the ultimate match race. David James across the bridge from us here saying, Rick Bannerow, greeting from cool but sunny Connecticut. That's the starting line. That's the FOSI. I want to thank Britton Ward, who is the president of FAR Yacht Design, for his appearance on the show Friday. It was a great guest. He is a great guest. It was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Julia?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very knowledgeable, very informative, and a first-class gentleman as well as a superb yacht designer. Now president of FAR Yacht Design, Britton Ward, originally from WA, from Perth, Western Australia. He was inspired by the 86-87 America's Cup when it showed up in WA, and he said, I want to get involved in this. Maybe I'll go be a yacht designer. And he's exceedingly bright, and he has done all of that.
Yes.
Julia, the reason, again, I put this Las Fallas thing up, Las Fallas is a spectacular, not just because we lived, my wife and daughter and I lived in Valencia for better part of 10 years, as did Russell Coots, as did everybody involved with Alinghi and Oracle and some other teams. But it's the spectacular Rite of Spring 5-day festival in Valencia that wraps up on the 19th, celebrating spring, and St. Joseph with fireworks and the burning of massive artistic and often satirical paper mache sculptures known as fallas or ninots in the local language. Rooted in old carpentry traditions, this lovely, noisy celebration represents renewal and community. Well, speaking of renewal, SailGP has announced that we knew they were going to Valencia, but now we have some details. And Russell was there a couple days ago and met with the mayor and the president of the Comunidad, the region. And they, of course, have done a big promotion about the hotly anticipated debut of SailGP in Valencia in September. SailGP, the Global Racing Championship, unveiled the first look of its debut Sail Grand Prix in Valencia at a celebratory event in the city. The Rolex SailGP Championship, known as the most exciting racing on the water, Julia.
Oh, yes.
Will make its debut at Valencia's iconic Marina waterfront, where the America's Cup team is built for the America's Cup or modified for the America's Cup, in September 5 to 6 of 20, that weekend in September, first weekend in September 2026. After 4 successful years in Cadiz, in Spain. SailGP CEO and co-founder Russell Coots, and members of Los Gallos, your favorite team, Julia.
Yes.
Why do you think I put this in the show?
Yes.
Because it's about your team.
I wish I'd met some of them.
Well, maybe that can be arranged.
Yes.
Anyway, they were there and they were welcomed by the local dignitaries, including the mayor, Valencia Mayor Maria Jose Catala, and the president of the council, and also the president of the region, the Generalitat. So it's a nice affair, and they love sailing in that town. They did a great job hosting us there for the 07 Cup and the 2010 Cup ultimately. And as I say, we lived there for 10 years.
That sounded...
Leslie, Meg, and myself. Yeah. And Meg went to high school there, learned Spanish. In fact, we were living in Germany. Leslie and Meg, I was down working, commuting back and forth. So I'm down staying in the Holiday Inn, as a lot of us were, in Valencia going for the 2007 Cup. And they came down on Easter right about now from Germany. And, it's warm, all of Meg's German school friends said, "Oh, you could go to Valencia, to Spain. Spain is sort of the Florida for a lot of Europe. It's warm, it's nice, the people are great, the food."
Yeah.
And they said to her literally, "Do you have Scheisse? Do you have shit for brains? Why don't you move to Spain?
Yes.
And get out of Germany. Get out of." That's what her German friends were saying. So she comes down with Leslie, and they say, Meg says, "You know, Daddy, I think you should get us a house, and we should move down here. And if you do, I'll learn Spanish." She already spoke German, but okay, what a conniving little something she was. Julia, there's your favorite people. That's Diego Botín, Nicole van der Velden, and Florian Triddle. They were there at this big event. They're having nice things to say. This will be a good event, assuming the race course works out. Los Gallos driver Diego Botín, strategist Nicole van der Velden, and wing trimmer Florian Triddle surveyed the marina, which will house the course, where they will look to secure a big win in front of their home supporters. Around 10,000.
Wow.
Around 10,000 spectators. Fans are expected in the stands across the race weekend, where they will enjoy, according to SailGP, a mix of high-octane racing along with world-class food, drink, and entertainment. Now that begs the question,
yes,
as to exactly where in that area will they run the races. Now let me just quickly, as a former local, take you, what does it mean, no Facebook feed? There should be a Facebook feed. Let me take you through what I know of this, one of the biggest ports in Europe, by the way, the Port of Valencia. And this is the working commercial port over here to the, I guess it's west. Then the America's Cup Harbor, this harbor, and this groin, this extension, and this extension were all built for the America's Cup. And you can see the inner harbor in here is where the team bases were, the Alinghi base, the Oracle base, the Shosholoza bases. Then there were some bases also over here still there. And they've been turned into restaurants and car dealerships. I'm not sure what all over there on that side. Then this super yacht dock was built, and just before the Cup, and it housed, obviously, VIP boats, super yachts, and still does. And they've tried to make Valencia a super yacht destination.
It's going to be a good one, though, because of the climate.
Well, the climate's nice, and the city's nice. And then these are for locals, presumably, but they've got all this smaller boat marina dockage out here in the outer harbor. The question is, where are you going to race? Well, you sure as hell are not going to race SailGP inside. This is quite a small area. And in this corner is the so-called Pancake House. And that was built specially for the Cup as an organizing committee office and for VIP events and others. There are a lot of restaurants and nice nighttime activities here, and people still come down the way they do to Frio in Western Australia. People still go down to Fremantle on Friday, the students, especially Friday and Saturday nights, because for the nightlife. But I'm guessing, but I don't know, and I've texted a number of people this morning and they didn't know. I'm assuming this is the race course out here, right outside the harbor. So again, I don't know for sure, but presumably they will come out, and the teams will be based in here, and they'll come out and around, and then race off the beach in this area right here. But again, unless somebody knows better than I, they could conceivably race off of this area down here, but that means going through the port. And there's a train track, there's a road. That's a bit of a deal and pretty industrial to get out there. So I'm assuming that's not the case. Whereas this is all from coming down from a town, from the central part of town, and out here. This is all very recreational and commercial and non-heavy industrial. So I think this area right here is where they're going to set up the grandstands, and the racing will be out here. But what do I know? I pinged them. That is, I pinged SailGP, and I pinged some friends
in Valencia.
In Valencia, notably Nicolo Porzio.
Oh, is he still living
He's
there?
still living there.
Oh, good.
And I heard back from the crouton. He's a dear friend, but hopefully we'll hear something back, Julia, and because it'll be fun to go there.
Absolutely.
I think about going there in September. It's a nice time of the year. It's still hot, but it's not as hot as it is in July, August. It's pretty warm.
Yep.
But 100 degrees, high 90s, 100 Fahrenheit. So, up in the 30s to 40 Celsius. So we'll see. Steve Groover saying, are they going to moor the 12 F-50s in the basin? I assume they're going to put in here the F-50s so that people coming in, this is the nightlife area right and about in that same area. So I'm assuming that will be the mooring area for the boats, Steve, and that's that basin, the America's Cup Harbor, Porto America's Cup, I guess they called it. Porto America's Cup. Whatever. We'll know, and I'll hear some unless any of you know better.
Yes, pretty good to know.
Spool up J-Dubs, Julia Vatican's jet. We will all pile on.
Yes.
And we've got two pilots. We have both the Texan pilot and the Connecticut pilot. So you get the 7-something chartered, 777, Julia. We're going to need a big plane.
We are.
And we'll all go. That would be great. Okay, so much for all that, Julia. What are we celebrating today? We teased that in the starting line. You see the logo in the upper right corner of that slide?
The World Tour.
The World Match Racing Tour. And the 2026 season begins in earnest tomorrow, but it's Wednesday down there now. Over there, I shouldn't say down there. It's a little down, but China. They're in China for the start. Actually in Macau. They're in Macau today, the 25th, at the opening ceremony and so on. And it runs through the 29th. And it's a second time I think that they've been there. And well received. It's a little light. It can be light there, but Macau, which like Las Vegas, has had a bit of a downturn in the gambling business, but it's still I've been there for car racing, for auto racing, and it's a nice town, and it's a lot of fun. And their event runs the Macau Match Cup, that is, the 25th through the 29th of March, and it is the opening stage of this year's World Match Racing Tour.
Looks like the breeze lines up quite well with the channel. Still plenty of skyscrapers around, and so it'll be an interesting race course.
Tricky race course. There's a lot of current, and it is quite shallow, but pretty used to sailing in the current like this. So yeah, it'd feel right at home.
World Match Racing Tour getting underway in China, in Macau, over there on west of. It's just west. Have you been to Macau? Mm-hmm. It's just west of Hong Kong. You take the high-speed ferry, the hydrofoil ferry over there, and they've got it. You saw some people in that promo who aren't necessarily going to be there, but Cole Tapper, who's world match race ranking number 2, with Jack Hamish and Max Brennan, our Balboa Yacht Club friend and colleague, but Jack and Hamish, Jack Freeman and Hamish Voss, who've been saying, don't call me Voss, Hamish Voss, the Aussies pronounce it. Cole Tapper, as usual, will be a real threat. He's been doing superbly, doing very well on the tour and beyond. Yanni Berenson from Sweden, world number 3. Ian Garetta from France, world number 4, and Aurélien Pelleros from France also will be there, and that's he's ranked in his team number 5 in the world. So there are the top 4. Sadly, no number 1 ranked Chris Poole, but Chris Poole, I'm sure, is here in the States working to try to beat the entry deadline for the Cup and get his Riptide Racing through Sewanaka Corinthian Yacht Club, get that coming to fruition. I don't think it's going to, but we shall see. We hope it does. That's for the 12. Then we've got Christian Pendergast from the U.S. who's coming up. Is he from Chicago? Somebody tell me in the chat where Christian is from. Jeppe Borsch from Denmark, the superb regular on the circuit. Oscar Engstrom, a fairly new but doing well, from Sweden. And Marcello, don't call me Italian, Marcello Torre, who is from Perth, from WA's Governor's Cup alum, and just a hell of a nice kid. His brother is too. Nice family. As is Nick Egnott Johnson, whose mother we know from the 92 Cup and 95 Cup. Tom Pico from France. I don't know how to pronounce that. Ruiri Finnegan. How do you pronounce that in Irish? Gaelic. Rory Finnegan, Mr. Finnegan from Ireland, and Zach West, another young-ish, newish Australian on the circuit. And it should be quite an event. Peter Taylor, who knows this match racing crowd pretty well because they're often at Don Riley's Oak Cliff, as well as Sewanaka Corinthian. He says Christian is from Chicago.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mark Wharton Reed says, yeah, Valencia, back on that story, will be awesome. Always felt that they had a possible track to AC38 before the catastrophic flooding in the fall of 2024. Okay, one more video here of today's racing, practice racing in Macau.
Welcome to the Macau Match Cup, the opening event for the 2026 World Match Racing Tour season. It is the second time this event comes to Macau, and we have 12 teams representing 7 countries. 5 days of racing are scheduled with some training sessions arranged for all the teams today. We'll have live streaming on World Match Racing Tour YouTube channel from the 25th to the 29th March. So follow us of all the action on the water.
We just flew in from to Macau airport here like 2 hours ago and just had our first sail here in lovely Macau. It's definitely going to be an interesting race course out there. We are all surrounded by land, so it's definitely going to be interesting and see how we going to manage those wind shifts. Yeah, first event of the season. Definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of great events during the year, and why not come off with a win here in Macau?
It's going to be tough. Probably a lot of teams will fight for the quarters, and we might be one of them also. We have a little new team set up, so I think that is the biggest challenge for us now, to try to level up and keep up with the teams that are more fit together. But I feel confident that we were going to give them a really hard match, and I think hopefully we're going to be very strong in the end of the week.
When our FOSI Lily showed up, you did what?
I
love her. We all love her.
I do.
That was
so terrific.
And she is so terrific. And we'll look forward to having more from her on the and you know, they do have live coverage as well on their YouTube channel, so no doubt she's part of that. Steve Gruber is telling us that the Irish gentleman's the pronunciation, he knows some of the family. He says they pronounce it Rory. It looks like Rory. I don't know, but you know it's Irish Gaelic.
Now we know.
Pronounce it Rory.
Yeah.
I know 2 of them, and they can't even pronounce their names. Gruber. Steve knows a lot of people. He's very, very, very good sailor, and he knows a lot of people all around the world. Okay, so you maybe also saw there was no Ian Williams in that list. And he's, 6, 7-time, whatever he is now, world tour champion, but he's not able to make this event, probably for work and other reasons. But hopefully we'll see him on the tour shortly.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So no Poole and no Williams, but we'll look forward to the racing nonetheless, as they got a top-notch lineup of sailors.
Yes.
From around the world.
I really love to watch them.
Thanks to James Pleasance, whom I texted last night. So, James, I'm going to run this in the A block. You know how enthusiastic we are about the world. In fact, I can see it over my shoulder back here, about the world tour. And give me some, he sent that last video just this morning. So
it's a good one, yeah.
We appreciate that video from the executive director of the WMRT and the World Women's Match Racing Tour, James Pleasance, the Brit who lives in London. Speaking of Brits, does the Challenger record, does the Emperor have no clothes, Julia?
Or a boat.
I don't know, or a boat, exactly right. But one gentleman who does have a boat, and it's starting to be spring there, so I'm sure he's thinking about doing more sailing in the UK if he's not already. I know he's very busy at the Castle Cove Sailing Club, helping them as a volunteer, helping get Castle Cove underway for the spring season. Yes. But he has yet another report for us, as he does every Tuesday and Friday. Jon Emmett's Coaching Corner, our Super FOSI, Jon.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. Welcome to Jon Emmett's Coaching Corner. And the question today, why can't we all get on? Now, recently, the America's Cup has probably been generating quite a lot of column inches, arguably for all the wrong reasons. You've got disputes about the event, you've got disputes about the equipment, and it's really highlighting the difficulties. And personally, I'm a big believer in communication. The more communication, the better, because you can solve issues with communication, and actually non-communication, I don't think ever solves anything. I also know from personal experience that as soon as lawyers get involved, it can get very, very expensive. In fact, as soon as lawyers get involved, probably the main beneficiary becomes the lawyers. And perhaps that could all be resolved with communication rather than avoiding difficult conversations. Actually, often better to have them sooner rather than later. Now, of course, my heart lies very much in keeping sailing inclusive. So that's youth, para, and women sailing. And I think this translates into all aspects of sailing, about good communication and just getting on. Because after all, the vast majority of sailing is run for volunteers, so they need to feel appreciated, and you need everybody, as it were, to be pushing in the same direction. And sometimes that means, difficult conversation. And for leaders, I don't know, it's not an easy task, it never is. I mean, I guess it's like being a father and you sort of have to metaphorically, I know you can't literally do this, bang the kids' heads together to get them to all work together and pull in the same direction rather than, try and remove somebody from the problem, because we really need to harness all the energy we possibly can. And that's why I think, why can't we all get on, whether it's a club, a class, an event, it's everybody's interest to make it as good as it can be. Now, of course, we're going to have differences in opinion, and I do completely understand before people comment that there's big financials in interests when it comes to equipment and sponsors and events. But fundamentally, if we're all trying to deliver a top event for the sailors, make it economically viable, keep the sponsors happy, that means working together, having the difficult conversations and moving forward. So I hope going to have quite a lot of coaching corners talking about sailing rather than disputes, because that's something I'd really rather avoid, because I'm much happier, or probably my most happy place is being out on the water. So with that in mind, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun.
Have fun indeed, Jon Emmett's Coaching Corner. We always remind ourselves and everyone else that we're trying our best to get Brisbane 2032 to get sailing back in the Paralympics during that Olympic Games in 6 years' time. And anything you can do to help us do that. World Sailing's working on that. The Aussies are working hard on that. And we hope if you have any influence, wherever you might have some influence, you help get sailing back in the Paralympics, either as a demonstration event or a regular event in 2032. And Jon Emmett's been helping to lead that push as well. Jon Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet, our regular contributor for the Coaching Corner. Speaking, Julia, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I couldn't help but see how green their environment is right now. It's lots of rain.
I was across the bridge here, as David James and I think a few others would attest. It's very green over on that side because of all the rain we've had, or we did have for a while there. Yeah. And it's it's spring. And it's very green over in Marin County, where it can, by the middle of the summer, be rather brown. I guess I'll pause there for a minute because we heard this morning, and I don't have any slides or anything corroborating evidence, Julia, but I heard from a super FOSI this morning that one of World Sailing's major sponsors has pulled out. And it's not because, it's not like they didn't renew the contract, but apparently they have pulled out. I'm not going to name them. I know who it is. But they pulled out, and there was an emergency meeting at World Sailing today to try to figure out, because it was a big part of their budget, apparently, a big chunk. And it's not Rolex, but it's still a significant sponsor. While I'm on fiscal news, I also now have U.S. Sailing's 2025, finally. We were supposed to have it in October, but we now have U.S. Sailing, 2025 accounting. And they lost millions of dollars, both in 2024 and in 2025. They're supposedly getting it back on track this year, the president and the executive director / CEO. But they've got real problems, fiscal problems at U.S. Sailing. So we wish them well. We don't want to see them have any more trouble than they're already having. But Charlie Enright's got his job cut out for him, Julia.
Yes, and he's a good person to be a hero, so I think he could be one.
Indeed. Scott's brother back and forth here on Scottish and Irish, and Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin is in the house. Things are so green there in England already. Chris actually agrees with you, Julia. And some other Scottish comments. But we do have a FOSI focus, too, as well, also. And maybe actually two, TWO. But Julia, do you know who those folks are?
Sure.
There is our two super FOSIs, Dawn Riley there on the left, and John Sangmeister on the right. Dawn, of course, from Oak Cliff, John from a denizen of Long Beach, LBYC and ABYC, and his Gladstone's restaurant down there. Longtime friends, both. I had the pleasure of speaking with both of them over the weekend. Dawn's doing one of her tours, and she's doing a SoCal tour now. She's been with Christine Gribben at Balboa Yacht Club and several other people of note in SoCal to help promote the sport, to help encourage U.S. Sailing and A1 Racing to get their collective act together, to help support athletes, to encourage people to directly support athletes, our Olympic athletes, and so on. And John, of course, has been doing that all along. The two of them met, and I'll say only this. The two of them are two super people.
Yes.
Two great contributors to our sport. And if there's any two, John used to be on the board of U.S. Sailing.
Yeah.
And Dawn's very close to any number of people in U.S. Sailing. And if there's two people that can help reconcile and promote and get moving well our Olympic program, I think they're two of the top people in our country. So I was happy they got together. I can't say any more than that. I know what they're working on, and it's good.
Yeah, I was thinking also
it's good.
Yes, Dawn's coordination of calendars is one big step toward that.
Well, it helps. We should go look at that again and see how that's going. But, it's quite useful. I use it all the time, checking for events and what's coming up in preparing this show.
And thinking about the whole.
Indeed. So that's nice to see FOSI who've gotten it. You know, they knew each other probably anyway, but there's a lot of FOSI here that have made connections outside of this show because they see each other on the show and they see each other in the comments and so on. Smeg has come up again, Julia. Ted Ryman takes responsibility for this video. That's how you make orange juice. You got to see that again. How I make orange juice in my Smeg. And since we talked about the yacht sponsored by Smeg in the, what do you call that? The 18-footer league. I'm going to go back and play that again, I hope. Dawn and John. I got to have one of these machines to make fresh orange juice. French orange juice. French orange juice.
Yes.
So I'm getting Smeg jokes. I'm getting Smeg appliance pictures and videos, obviously. Thank you, Ted, for sponsoring that one. This is a photo.
Yes. Gorgeous.
That is from Commodore Harrington, who saw that video in the super chat.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I've got one of those too on her kitchen counter.
Well, it's gorgeous.
We don't need to go into, though, the joke and the running.
No, we don't.
If we do, Julia, we will leave that to you.
No.
If anybody needs to know why we keep laughing about Smeg in the name of that sponsor of that 18-footer in the JJ, we'll have Julia.
I'll explain it.
We'll have Julia articulate it sometime down the road. Let's get to the America's Cup. Julia, this could be a short show, thank goodness. We're only about 35 minutes. I got a big meeting at the yacht club tonight. I didn't plan it to be a short show, but that'll be good if we can get through all of this. But the America's Cup is, I called it a fuster cluck in the promo for today's show, and it is. I don't wish that on anybody. It's sad for our sport. It's sad for the Cup. It's sad for everybody involved. But it is a problem, and it got worse over the weekend when we all learned that the knights, the dueling knights, now they're jousting. Ineos has taken legal steps. It was announced in the British press over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is taking legal steps to get the boat off, get it back from Ben Ainsley, and they issued a statement, this, of course, via BBC Sport, but it was in the other papers. Ineos is surprised that the boat we built for the last America's Cup has been taken by Athena Racing, said the statement from Sir Jim and his crowd. The boat belongs to Ineos, and it is inappropriate to assume it can be used for the next competition without seeking our permission. The boat was the most successful British boat in history and cost Ineos £180 million and evolved naturally from the first boat, which cost a further £170 million. So said the statement issued by Sir Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos people. And you know what? That sounds more like a PR person wrote that than a lawyer. Doesn't sound very legalese, does it?
No. But I understand that.
Yeah, and, we'll see who owns it, and probably going to get sorted out in court. In the meantime, Sir Ben's group, GB1 as they're now called, they had been Athena Racing, and now they're GB1, issued a statement in response in which they said they, quote, appreciate the sponsorship and support of Ineos over the last two campaigns, but maintained the boat was theirs. Quote, it should come as no surprise to Ineos that assets which are owned by and have always been in the possession of Athena Racing are being used for AC38, the statement added. So I think this is negotiation. I spoke with a couple of our super senior serious FOSI and lawyers, and it looks to them, as it does to me, Julia, like Sir Jim is just trying to say, hey, you got some backing now from Oakley Capital, Ben. You can't just have all this equipment free and clear. You got to pay me something for the right to use the equipment that I paid for.
Yes.
And that I don't know who owns it, but it sounds like maybe Ineos does also own it. I don't, who would know until they go to court and sort it out? They're going to be in the commercial courts, it sounds like.
But who owns the team?
Well, the team is now a new team. It's Athena Racing, DBA GB1, doing business as GB1 with the backing from Oakley Capital. And that team is largely now owned by Mr. Dubins of Oakley Capital. Ben has only one or a few shares.
Yeah.
And Oakley Capital, having lent them a lot of money, or so one hears, now has the great preponderance of shares in that company. Athena didn't take it, Ted Ryman says. They had it since the race. Well, where is it? Is the other question. Is it in Barcelona? Is it someplace else? Clark Chapin says, not really jousting, more like smacking each other with broadswords.
Well, it's a lot of money and a disappointment in faith.
Well, and it's bad ink for both of them. Bad ink for the Cup, bad ink for the sport. It's, the people are saying, that's the America's Cup, here we go again. The devil's, Ed Worley says, is in the details of the contract that Ben and Jim signed. What about the engineering, the IP, which is a very good point, design and diagnostic info.
Right.
So there's Jody Shields, predictably. Oh, yeah, the America's Cup segment. How awesome is it to see all the boats on the water? What a snooze fest. Well, apropos me telling you that the ink has been bad, it was not just BBC Sport. It was the Telegraph with virtually the same headline, and quoting from the statement and the argument about who owns the assets. The Guardian, Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos, taking legal steps against Ainsley over America's Cup boat. And the Times of London, Sunday, I don't know if it was in the Sunday Times or Saturday Times, but Jim Ratcliffe taking big headlines, leading not the front page, but the sports pages. Jim Ratcliffe taking legal steps to get a £180 million boat back from Ben Ainsley. So it's not a good look, and it's just adding to the...
That suggests that they never talked about it, and I wonder if that's true.
Oh, they did. I'm sure they did. But I think Ben doesn't have a leg to stand on. Or if he does, he doesn't have the cash to help make Mr. Sir Jim go away.
Right.
Now, interestingly, Julia, all this notwithstanding, the sailing media now starting to weigh in, and the first one was Tom Morris of this podcast called The Foil, and Tom Mozzie Sales, Tom Morris, whom we've featured on here in the past, and he has tried to explain this to the sailing public, and some of what he says I think is correct, and some of what he's saying I think is quite croutonic. But you be the judge. You have a look, and I'll play you what he offered up here over the weekend as a correct or croutonic. As I said, some of this is correct, and some of it I'm pretty sure is croutonic. Tom Morris.
So Jim Ratcliffe is taking legal steps to seize back £180 million yacht Britannia from Sir Ben Ainsley. But there are two elements missed by the mainstream reporting, and these give deeper context over the battle for Britain's most successful America's Cup yacht ever. Now, the Cup is known for epic legal battles, but these tend to focus on who the rightful challenger is in this 174-year winner-stays-on competition. And it's very unusual. In fact, I don't think it's happened before where there has been legal wrangling over the team and yacht ownership. So why now? Well, this is the first America's Cup that will be raced with a new partnership agreement between the competitors. This agreement secures regular racing every 2 years in the AC37 and a stake in the commercial success. This is something that Sir Ben Ainsley has been a vocal advocate for. However, as he's finding out, this long-term value is a double-edged sword, as now acrimonious splits between backers and teams have real value to wrangle over. It should come as no surprise that the formation of the AC partnership has, maybe indirectly, led here. The second thing is the timing. This all comes right as GB1, Sir Ben's newly branded team with backing from Oakley Capital, are gearing up for the next America's Cup in July 2027. Now that may seem like a way off, but it's precisely now that teams should be adapting their AC37 ahead of competition next year. A challenge over the legal ownership of the yacht, especially if there's any injunction over adapting the yacht, could not come at a worse time. Maybe that's not such a coincidence. However, the big unanswered question remains. Did Ineos's backing of the British team amount to naming rights or true ownership? Seems likely that this answer will now be found in court.
Okay, is Tom Mozzie Morris correct or Crutonic, Julia?
It sounds correct to me, but what do I know?
Well, I think his last assertion is correct. He's saying it's going to be answered in court unless they suddenly find some money to pay Jim something, because he probably is negotiating. He probably doesn't want to go to court. He probably doesn't want the boat, but maybe he does. Is the America's Cup partnership the reason for this? No.
Why is it so much incentive?
These guys came apart way before the partnership. They came apart because Jim's company, Ineos, is having some struggles. And another FOSI clued me in over the weekend about about serious problems they're having vis-a-vis the Saudis and some amazing technology and oil works that the Saudis are doing that have helped, have not helped Ineos in their business competitively, being competitive. So ACP, this problem has been going on for quite some time. And I think there's just basically an commercial ownership issue. And I think Ben thinks that possession is 3/4 of the law. This is sort of like the old West days here. But I don't know. As Tom said at the end of that, let's see who owns it. They're probably going to get settled in court. But the bad news is, and there's a lot of great comments. Go back, as Julie likes to remind us, to go back and read the comments. But Jody says, I don't want to be negative about the America's Cup, but fair dinkum, what is there to be positive about with this current circus? And I think that's right. Is he asking for the 40s as well? No, he must be Bing Bong. Bing Bong, of course, is John Sangmeister's young son, William, who was in the last comments in the last show. Alistair Murray, would seem to me Sir Ben is in big trouble if Ratcliffe digs his heels in, but we must all hope and believe that external pressures will cause wise heads to prevail and a deal to be done. Yeah. Gordon Smith, however, thinks that Tom has put his finger on the crux of the situation. I don't know if you mean by that it's a commercial issue, Gordon, or you think that the ACP has given added value and suddenly Jim's interested in having if it is his asset, having his asset back. At Vitrano, there's a lot of great comments in here. But in the meantime, Andrew McIrvin is also correct. See that comment from Mr. Doctor? Team New Zealand are already charging around the Hauraki Gulf with their fully adapted 75, means the rest are so far behind that they may as well give up now, ? He makes what is clearly a smart comment, assertion, and ends it humbly with a question mark, Julia. But that's the truth.
That is.
You don't see anybody else. There's one other thing that Richard Gladwell has pointed out. Gladwell's covering, I'm not even going to put anything in about the Kiwi sailing because they're sailing almost every day. They're maximizing because you only get X many days in which to train in an AC-75. So there's no point going out at 2 o'clock and sailing till 4 o'clock. You go out at dark 30, maybe not quite dark 30, but you go out at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and you sail as long as you've got breeze and light and so on. There's something, possession is 9/10 of the law, Andrew McIrvin is. Sometimes it's 3/4 of the law, 9/10 of the law is the actual saying. Yeah. But there's another issue here, Julia, is the Kiwis will have 2 summers to train.
Oh, yeah.
They're in their summer now, and they're going to be able to train, through their autumn, through their fall, and even in winter. It's not, the winters in Auckland are not that, well, they're not severe. It's not, I saw it, I think all the time we lived in Auckland, I think I saw it snow once, and it was cold, and there were some chilly days, but we were up in a tall building, maybe even in the building where Hamish's former law office, Bell Gully, was, and we were up in, the 15th, 20th floor, I don't know, and the snow didn't get down to the ground. We could see it in the air. That's the only time I saw snow in Auckland.
But I don't think of Auckland as snow at all.
Well, exactly. But they're also, don't forget, they are going to have another summer, our winter, before they have to ship. And, shipping takes some time, and that's a bit of a disadvantage before they ship the boat to Naples. So they're getting a lot of training time. And now that's also an advantage of Pensacola.
Yes.
If that's where the KK Challenge ends up, which is what we're hearing is going to happen. And they will end up in, the KK Challenge will end up there, and that's pretty much year-round. A little soft, the breeze a little soft, and it's hot and humid there in the summertime. But
would they be also restricted to the number of days?
Yeah, everybody's restricted to a certain number of days, but
why did they do that?
Because it helps the defender. I mean, it helps the defender. They ostensibly they do it because it's for cost cutting. If you can't sail, you save money. But what it does is it just gives the defender who already has an advantage that much more an advantage because the other teams can't catch up. Same with building boats. If you can't build a new boat, you got to use an old boat, and you've lost to the Kiwi boat. Okay, well, the foils are more important. The batteries are going to be more important. Sorry. The boats are important, and they always will be. As you heard Britt Ward say on our show on Friday.
Right.
Julia, that foil, that's this podcast, and they do some good work and some questionable work, but I thought that was pretty good. I agree. It was correct mostly. Tom Mawsey Morris, the sailmaker in the UK, who's been opining. He's better, I think, when he opines on technical stuff, but he's not bad. And I
like his presentation. Yeah.
And yeah, he's young and fresh, and I agree. So let's now look, Julia, at GB1 specifically. What's going on with because they're training. They're putting out a lot of videos. And we showed you this photo, and that's, I think, AI generated of their AC40. But now they are sailing, as we told you last week, in Colliery. And here is their latest the America's Cup recon video of the Brits sailing. Two boating.
Great day for GB1. Had 2 boats on the water for the first time this campaign. Very good day, very good weather, mostly in Kalliari, though it's just got a bit cloudy, we had a bit of rain at the end, but all around a good day for the team. Main goal of the day, get through the test lists, get some racing, get some tuning. It's always good having 2 boats out there. You can really push yourself through the paces and just ticking off that test list. Yeah, quite a range of conditions throughout the day. Not the best forecast, but the breeze was a bit better than expected. Rain, pulse and breeze at the end, and it's looking good for the rest of the week. Plan is hopefully some more 2-boat days. We'll check in and see what the weather looks like. Feels like there's going to be a potential of some mistral later in the week, so a bit of offshore action here, but that's why we're here. It's great weather. Saw a Luna Rossa out there sailing as well today. Got a mix of crew on board between the 2 boats, and I think we're really trying to maximise the experience and push the learning of everyone on board.
Okay, well, that ended a little bit earlier than my counter said, so I want to just say again, there's some great comments, and I can't go back and read them all, but one point that Ed Worley made, the motivations of Jim Ratcliffe may not be dollar related. In other words, maybe after he and Ben broke up, maybe he's just wanting to be a bit obstreperous and difficult, cause Ben some problems. And who knows what the real reason is that they broke up and what the motivations were there.
Yeah. Well, it's his.
And William Sangmeister is asking, did Ben pay for the boat at all? Is Ratcliffe really just looking for $180 million? John Sangmeister, it's all in the challenger's best interest that Sweeney prevails and triggers a full restart of the Cup. There are a lot of people that agree with John.
Yes, I do.
I know you do too, Julia. Steve Gruber, there hasn't been a proper circus since 2010, and before that, 88. Statistics show it is time. Just make a beverage, hunker down on the couch, and follow the side show.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of comments. Lots of great comments here. I'm not going to read them all, Julia. John Spangos, Ben, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it would be, all of it would be hilarious that if there weren't a lot of money being thrown around.
Well, and who knows? I think that Alex Hayworth here in the comments, selling the boat has nothing to do with money. Ineos debt bonds have had major recovery. The boat is worth maybe 10 to 12 anyway. And that's probably fair. That's probably true. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you see they're training, the Brits are training in Cagliari alongside, I'm not sure they're training with, but they're alongside Luna Rossa, who've been very quiet. Mm-hmm. And they are also sailing a little bit, but they've been quiet. In fact, the Brits, I told you, are sending out video after video. And here's yet another one from just the past 24 hours.
Hi, I'm Andrea Tesei. I will be a pilot and trimmer on board GB1 for the 48th America's Cup. The America's Cup has always been a dream since I was a kid. Very interesting for so many aspects. It's incredibly sports-wise, very hard to win, obviously, super difficult, but also the chance to get to learn about technology and how to improve sailing and knowledge of hydrodynamics and aerodynamics is what really then gets the passion going. I am really honored to be in this group. There's so many Olympic champions, Olympic medals, both on the sailing team, both on the management side, on the shore side. Everyone is an incredibly talented sailor. And again, having the chance to learn also to work in a new culture and a new environment for me is another big challenge. I joined Luna Rossa in 2018, and then from there on we kind of built into a team and became wing trimmer for the 36th America's Cup. For the 47th America's Cup I was a pilot and trimmer on the starboard side. And we had an incredible battle with the Brits, and unfortunately they had the best. The first part of the campaign will be on the AC40s to get the team bonded together and running, start to know each other and take some rust off. It's been quite a while we haven't been sailing these boats as well. And then on the big boat, obviously we'll have some upgrades and changes, both from the system side and the foil side and the sails. So there's going to be plenty to learn and design on that side as well.
I like these videos that they've been putting out and featuring various team members. He's Italian, Andrea. I don't know him and don't even know of him, but Andrea, he was with Luna Rossa last time apparently. Andrea Tesei, how I checked the pronunciation of that Italian name.
Very well presented. It looks like somebody, it would be nice to know.
But I wish they had a boat. I wish Ben could, it's sort of like this guy who's the son of the supposed Ayatollah in Iran, who, he keeps making pronouncements through second and third people, through spokespeople. And until the guy shows up and holds up the current paper and is, with us, is alive, how would you know? And until Ben says, there's the boat, it's at Persico, or it's here in our shed in Portsmouth, or it's in Barcelona, and that is our boat, and we're working on it. Mm-hmm. Because with as several people said in the comment, with every passing day, as Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin said, Kiwis are out training, are out learning, are out moving forward, and none of these other teams, none of them is training in an AC-75. Mm-mm. So how much longer? A couple of you have just asked, where's Alinghi? They haven't said peep.
3 days into 75. Yeah.
And you think about Alinghi, and I hear that they may be moving into the base in Portsmouth that was the Ineos/Athena Racing base in Portsmouth in the UK. That is Ernesto Bertarelli's team, and maybe training there going forward. So who knows? And I said on my Facebook, I left, you know me, I leave little comments and hints and clues sometimes on my Facebook page. Who knows if Ben Ainsley falls out of bed and the Challenger of Record does not have a team because their team doesn't have a boat. Who knows? Maybe it ends up that Alinghi becomes the team representing the Royal Yacht Squadron and the Challenger of Record instead of representing SNG, Société Nautique Genève. That's not as far-fetched as it might seem because Ernesto is a member of the Royal Yacht Squadron. His ex-wife was you know, Britain's, what do you call that? Miss Britain.
Oh, is she?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
So he's got a lot of connections to the UK, obviously.
Right.
He's also a member of New York Yacht Club.
Yes.
So, you know, these stranger things have happened. And it wouldn't surprise me if somehow, some way, Ernesto ended up with Alinghi sailing because they have a boat. Okay,
Yeah.
they got to repair their boats. And maybe he and Ben somehow join forces. Now, Hamish Ross will tell you that there's a problem with that. And we haven't seen the challenge documents, but when you challenge, you have to name the yacht as part of the challenge paperwork. You name the yacht and you say, we are the Royal Yacht Squadron. We are challenging with a yacht named something. And if it's now some other yacht, who knows? And if the yacht's name is no longer that, arguably Ineos's that boat would be the same boat by any other name. But if it ends up having to be some other boat sailing for the Challenger of Record, that in itself could be a problem. That's why I've got Hamish coming on a week from today, because I think a lot of this stuff may come out in the open in the next week. And Hamish and I will have a bit, we'll have a bit of a natter with Hamish, Julia.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that could really affect this America's Cup and actually give the Kiwis even more of a lead, if you can believe that. GB1, yeah. A new challenger not only needs to build an old, but also needs to buy foil arms, control systems, and other proprietary equipment only built by TNZ, Ed Worley is saying. So I don't know, Mark, if Mark Wharton Reed, does the COR need a new boat? Need a boat, not a new boat, a boat.
I got a boat.
So we'll see. They can't change trade teams after the foundation of ACP. Who knows? We haven't seen the paperwork. And Andrew McIrvin is agreeing with me, or at least saying it's possible. He said could be Ernesto, is a member.
Of what?
Royal Yacht Squadron. Okay. Read Alex Hayworth and we'll let him have the final word. The Challenge Yacht Custom House Registry was never provided as mutual consent was achieved following AC75. Also, all teams had signed into a protocol in Barcelona mandating that the Naples cycle would be in AC75. There was a 16 million break clause if they failed to sail that is, if there was a new defender and they failed to use the AC75 in their defense. But of course, the Kiwis, so that's moot at this point. Now that begs this question. We've been telling you about the KK Challenge. I think we broke that news on here. And Richard Gladwell and others have kindly given us credit for breaking the news on here. And I'm calling it the KK Challenge for Karl Komarek, who's a Czech, originally from Czech Republic, and now lives in Verbier in Switzerland. And his boat captain is Ken Reed, so I'm calling it the KK and K Challenge, not the KKK Challenge. That wouldn't be correct. And he is He's very wealthy. He's a Czech businessman worth 9 or 10 billion as of, March 2024. He's one of the wealthiest Czech citizens and the founder of the investment company KKCG, as we've been telling you. He campaigns a 100-foot Mills design Wally Cento built in 2017 called simply V, and one hears the name of their America's Cup team is to be V Racing or the V Challenge.
Yeah.
So and we still, unless somebody in the chat knows, we don't know what V stands for. Maybe victory. I don't know. And that's the big boat that he has been campaigning very well. They won another regatta here down in the Caribbean over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Several of you said so in the chat. Thanks for that. As I mentioned, Ken Reed, the super sailor, whom I've known for 40 plus years, and from Barrington, Rhode Island originally. His brother Brad is the executive director, esteemed executive director of Sail Newport. Ken is the captain and has been named, one hears, as syndicate CEO. And Tyson Lamond, who was the COO, Julia, of American Magic, has been named, or so one hears, as the COO. The COO. Ken's the CEO. Tyson Lamond has moved from American Magic, and Tyson has been managing the American Magic effort in Pensacola, while Terry's been up in Annapolis and doing his CEO thing.
Yeah.
So Tyson now has moved to this team. The assumption, it's widely held that this team, the KK Challenge, is going to, that Kenny is, and Ken's apparently fronting all this. He's the guy that's doing the negotiations and working hard to try to get this all together before the 31st of March, although there's nothing that stops the gang from extending the deadline past March 31st. But therein lies an interesting rub.
Chose not to.
Well, but that's Grant Dalton. They already extended that, the March 31st deadline.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that other members of ACP are throwing boulders, as I told you on Friday's show, are throwing, just when Kenny Reed thinks he's removed one of the obstacles, one of the boulders, they throw two more in front of him, is the quote I heard from a friend. So it may be the other teams, and why would you? If you're any of these other teams, why would you want another competitor that you have to beat in the Challenger Selection Series? I mean, this is, as Dennis Conner used to say, you can bet on self-interest because that horse is always running.
Yeah.
So they may pay lip service. Oh, we want all the teams we can get. It'll be great to have a first-time Czech citizen, Czech.
Yes.
I don't know if he's still a Czech citizen. Presumably is, but maybe not. Maybe Swiss citizen now. But a Czech person born in Czech Republic, and we would welcome this into the Cup. They may just be paying that lip service and trying to help Mr. Dalton, who needs all the teams he can get because he's promised 5 or 6 or I don't know how many to Naples. The boat V looks like a sweet ride for a Friday night beer can race. Plenty of cockpit, David James says. Replying to Ed Worley, Ed, only when the boat is built. The boat was never built, so the custom house. Okay, I'm going to leave those two to argue back and forth because I know as much, or I've forgotten more about that stuff than most of people know. Hamish Ross too, but I haven't read the documents. I don't know what's in the current documents, so I am not going to opine until we see the documents, which are not being shared, including with their yacht club or prospective yacht club. They are in negotiations with a club, which I'm about to tell you the name of the club because we're going to do a reveal here on the show, Julia.
Yes.
You look shocked and stunned.
Well, I knew that.
You would think poorly of me if I didn't come finally up with the name of their prospective yacht club.
I would. I don't know how they could expect anybody to do that. I think they are going to be in a morass, and they should all just start over and say,
Well, we'll get to John Sweeney in a minute, but if John prevails, or even if he forget about prevailing with his lawsuit or in court, if he just manages to get the Attorney General interested in the supposed defender trustee and deed violations, and the AG might put a kibosh on all of this, which might end AC38 quico pronto. And then there will be court cases from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron who've already hired a high-powered worldwide law firm. I know who that law firm is, too. Mm-hmm. And not because I've gotten a cease and desist letter. I wish I did. I'm hurt that I didn't. Greg Norman got one, Julia, but not us. So back to Kenny. Kenny is hard at work trying to get this together for KK as the syndicate CEO. And he's been an America's Cup helmsman before, but to be a manager, a senior serious manager of a senior serious team is a big job, as any of you who've been involved in the Cup at a high level will know. So I'm going to give you some clues as who this is the preface. The club is not yet agreed, or so one hears. They've been in hot pursuit. Like most clubs, probably a third of the club want to do it, those who know about it, because it's been held very tightly within the club. And probably a third of them want to do it, a third don't want to do it because they think it'll ruin the club, and it might. Doing the America's Cup does strange things to clubs. Mm-hmm. And then there's that middle third that, well, you know, come see, come saw, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some clues as to what club that is and see who in the chat can guess it first. There is the Commodore's hat with the, that's called, what is that called? A device, I think. It's not the Burgee. The Commodore's
insignia.
Device. I think that's technically, somebody will know in the chat. From a certain club. It's an American club. It's in the Northeast. Does anyone recognize the club? Again, they haven't signed on the dotted line. I understand that's supposed to happen tomorrow or in the next couple days because the team needs to get their ducks in a row. They need to get challenge papers formalized, finished, finalized, and submitted. You need to wire money. Challenging is not a simple, it's not quite like just writing a check or sending an email. It's a bit of a deal. Again, any idea what club is said to be the representative club? Dawn Riley. Dawn Riley gets the applause. Shelter Island, she says. Baton Rouge guessing Larchmont, sorry. Mm-hmm. Dawn's right. She was the first one to get it, and that is Shelter Island Yacht Club, the officers and trustees. It's a Commodore, I don't know, Benjamin I. Diet Jr., and there's down through the Vice Commodore. It's a very well-known club. They have a lot of good racing, small boat racing in particular. And that is whom I am giving you the one here's. I'm not 100% sure, but I am, I wouldn't bet my life. But then I wouldn't bet my life on anything, Julia.
I think that's true.
Except on your loyal support.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. Wasn't that a nice thing to say?
Oh, yes, it was nice.
How do you like your microphone?
I love it.
It's much better than having that in your chest.
Yes.
I know the audio's not as good. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I would bet the ranch. I'd bet the farm that it is going to be this club, assuming they consummate the deal in the next couple days. I was going to give you some more clues. No, it's not. Mark Wharton Reed says it's CNEV, Club Nautico Español de Vela. No, not CNEV, not Newport.
The Beach Street Yacht Club.
It's not the Beach Street Yacht Club. Rick Banner says a third of that club is too busy sailing their Airsoft 12.5s. Well, it is a busy club. It's a nice little clubhouse in Shelter Island, which is, what is it called? Daring? D-E-R-I-N-G, Daring Harbor on the north side of Long Island out to the eastern end of Long Island. Mm-hmm. Here's a video that I dug up on YouTube of the club. And it has no audio, but it shows you, it's from about 2 years ago, I guess in the winter, Shelter Island Yacht Club, their piers, their parking, their clubhouse, and they have etchels, they have sunfish, they race PHRF, they're quite active. And I'll tell you in a minute who I think maybe has brokered the deal, because this isn't something, I don't see a connection between Ken Reed and this club per se. I would have seen him at Ida Lewis or Barrington Yacht Club or any of the Narragansett Bay clubs, or maybe some Essex Yacht Club where Tom Whidden, Kenny's North colleague, Essex over on the Connecticut side, almost opposite Shelter Island. And it's a beautiful setup, and they've got a great parking area. They've got great sailing waters, a great junior program. But the America's Cup, you have to be careful, because it can, especially if you're perceived as a rent-a-burgee. And, I was Vice Commodore at Golden Gate, and we were very careful not to let the team run everything. They certainly tried to. But any major decisions came to the board, and the board, rubber stamped more or less, but not always. Sometimes the board, Norbert or I or both of us, would go back to Larry and Russell and say, excuse me, we think that's wrong, we ought to do this instead. Or
and here's why.
And here's why. And we think the legalities of that mean that we should do this instead of that. Yeah. And of course, they listen. This is before Russell. I mean, we were challenger for that team from 2001. So we did the 03 Cup. We did with Larry, with the 07 Cup. And that was Bill Erklands was leading that, and then Chris Dixon. And then Russell came in 2010, and Russell was still in charge in 2013. And we won in 10 and 13. So you don't want the culture. The flag officers have to protect the culture and the members. Remember, you're in, just like Beach Street Yacht Club, Julia, you're in business for the members.
Right. Only.
And you double the dues every year.
Absolutely, every year. And they like it.
Our AGM is coming up here in a couple of weeks, and it's on April 1st. We founded it, and it's our 10th anniversary.
Oh, we
founded it on April 1st, 2016, didn't we?
Yeah.
On April Fool's Day, the BS Yacht Club.
On perfectly reasonable reasons.
Jody Shields says, did they choose Shelter Island because there's a storm coming and they got a shelter? Larry Kennedy saying, such a great place. We used to take a whole contingent of kids out there, meaning out on Long Island, to sail. It's on the North Shore of Long Island. It's on Long Island Sound, on the south side of Long Island Sound. No doubt Rick Bannerow knows it well. No doubt Dawn knows it. And Dawn came up with the name. It's a great club. But will the America's Cup ruin it? I hope the flag officers are taking a very careful look at it, because frankly, I'd be really careful. If I were the Commodore and the board of that club, I'd be really careful. Now, who brokered the deal? I don't know. But do you know this gentleman, Julia?
Oh, he looks familiar.
That is the immediate past Commodore of New York Yacht Club. Oh. That is Jay Cross, whom I've known for, I guess, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
He grew up in Royal Canadian Yacht Club. Paul Henderson took him under his wing. He was a superb fireball animal, 470 sailor especially, representing Canada and Royal Canadian Yacht Club. And he was the Commodore before Claire, before Commodore Harrington. And he has a place out at Shelter Island. I think he has an Etchells and does some Etchells racing out there. And he's a member of the Shelter Island Yacht Club. And I've not spoken with him, but it would not surprise me if he, Jay Cross, Commodore Cross, brokered the deal between, or helped broker the deal between Kenny and Shelter Island Yacht Club. But again, that is speculation. It really doesn't matter, except that it may have some interesting implications down the road. Okay? Did they choose Rick Bannerow? And she's in charge of club transportation. I don't know who the she is, Rick. I hope Shelter Island Yacht Club, David James says, has a good general counsel and a good PR firm. You can't, you got to have a communications effort.
Yeah.
And it can't be, somebody's daughter or son or wife. You got to have a real PR effort. So I thought that was interesting that Jay Cross is a noted member of Shelter Island Yacht Club. Oh, Julia is in charge. She's in charge of club transportation. She's in charge of a lot more than that. Okay, so what about Sweeney? John Sweeney and his lawsuit. Well, John, who alleges, and I agree with him, that Royal, as you all know, I've said this for 2 years, Hamish Ross and others, that the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron is violating an abject, absolute violation of the deed of gift for simply having delegated their trustee duties and responsibilities to the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have learned something this week.
Yes.
From one of our FOSI, one of our sources. Actually, I learned it maybe not from a FOSI, but somebody who's a good friend and a good agent. There is an agreement, ladies and gentlemen, Commodores, ladies and gentlemen. There's always a yacht club agreement.
Mm-hmm.
A team always has an agreement with their yacht club. Who's going to do what to whom? You indemnify the yacht club from all expenditures.
Right.
You agree that if you win the cup, it's going to be held here, there, otherwise, or how you're going to make the determination of where to hold it, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That's the yacht club agreement, the so-called YCA, by various names around the world. There is, in this case, one hears, there's an agreement between the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and their representative team, which is called a delegation agreement, in which they have outlined and spelled out how they have delegated their duties from the yacht club to the team.
Yes.
Which, if that's true, if that agreement exists, if it's on paper, and I haven't told John Sweeney this, but he's watching probably. I'm now telling you, John. And one hears that there's a similar agreement between the Royal Yacht Squadron and their representative team. They just apparently copied the paperwork that the RNZ had. And if that's the case, it's ipso facto. There's proof. There's written proof that they've delegated their trustees' duties and responsibilities contrary to New York law.
Yes.
Which is what I've asserted, which is what John has asserted, which Hamish Ross and many others have asserted.
And it's taken on a whole different cast because of that.
Exactly. Well, and then the other thing that John is asserting now, and he's some of the stuff he's put up in his various writings and even that complaint, that's the lawsuit technically called a complaint to the Attorney General. Some of the stuff he's written I think is way off base, and I've told him so. I haven't talked to John in years, but I've texted with him.
Yeah.
And for example, he wanted, maybe I think he's gone away from this, but he wanted to amend the deed of gift to require there to be 190-foot boats. No one's going to amend the deed of gift. That's the whole problem with ACP, is that to make ACP work, they have to amend the deed of gift to allow ACP, because ACP is an abject violation of the deed of gift. It's absolutely sets aside the defending club and the duty. Okay, enough of that. I want to carry on here. There's John. I've shown this picture before. He was with America True. He was with Dawn's team in 2000 as a sailor, America True. And then he was with us, with Oracle in 2003. He was with Shosholoza in 2007. And then he led the Sausalito Yacht Club's prospective Challenger record roll. They were going to be the COR for the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron if the Kiwis defeated Alinghi in 2007. And John, so he's prepared the paperwork. He knows about protocols. He knows about the deed, and he's been involved in that. And this is the complaint that he has prepared. I now have a copy, as some of you do, Ed Worley does and others, the entire complaint that he has sent to the Attorney General. And I also have seen the correspondence he has had with the Attorney General back and forth, or some of it. I've seen excerpts. I haven't seen all of it, obviously. And he's got a case number, I believe, and he's getting some uptake from the Attorney General. John told me today that he's been contacted by the New York Times because they're now sniffing around. So if the New York Times gets a hold of this, and others in greater New York area and New York State start to read about this, this could take on its own legs. I'm mixing metaphors, Julia. I know John well, Alistair Murray says, great guy.
Oh, that's good.
Jody Shields, it just blows my mind that any club would want to race the Kiwis in second-hand boats with no time to develop the boats. The only reason would be the proposed ACP profit sharing. I don't see how they're going to have any profits to share. Plus, it's contrary to the deed of gift, as I think John and his complaint, I think the Attorney General is going to take notice, but we'll see. Meanwhile, John's doing some funny things. I showed you these on Friday. He's got some cartoons out making fun of any number of us, including Hamish and myself. And then there was this strange case late last week where this big law firm in Chicago sent a cease, and I've seen the letter, a cease and desist letter to our FOSI Greg Normand, who writes the Great Lakes, Inside Great Lakes Sailing, he writes it, it's the podcast. And he interviewed John on the air, and this law firm sent him a letter saying cease and desist, talking about this case. I mean, you talk about the Second Amendment and journalism. I mean, excuse me. Yeah. So this is strange, and it's sad, and I'm sorry to have to talk about it, but a lot of you are interested. And the question remains, we go back to where we started this segment, does the Challenger of Record have a team? Do they have a boat? If they do have a team, I mean, they have a team, Sir Ben, no doubt, and the gentleman from Oakley Capital, Mr. Dubins. Mm-hmm. Or is Ernesto going to take on that role if if Ben falls out of bed in his team?
Interesting.
So who knows? Any other comments? The comments have gone quiet. So we bored people to death, Julia.
Yes.
Or they're just kind of scratching their heads.
Oh, I know. It's hard to know where to go from here.
Julia, I said this was going to be a short show, and we're almost an hour and a half in. How time flies when you're having
talking
fun,
a lot,
Julia.
I know.
When you're talking a lot. What happened on this day in history? The 24th of March, 2020. Mm-hmm. You want a clue?
Yes.
There's a clue.
Oh.
You know who that is?
I can't remember.
That is the former Prime Minister,
Abe.
Shinzo Abe from Japan. Mm-hmm. I think he was the longest serving PM in Japan's at least post-war history. 54, he lived from 54, so he was a year younger than I, to 2022, and then he was assassinated.
Oh, I don't.
He wasn't even campaigning, I don't think. He was helping somebody else. He got assassinated. He shot by somebody in a crowd.
I don't remember that. Oh.
He was murdered, but that's not what happened on this date. And John Sangmaster saying, heed the deed. Yeah, right. Read the deed. It would be good if they just read the deed, John. Andrew McIrvin, back on the previous topic. I would say that the New York Yacht Club are very sensible, giving this one a pass, and seeing what happens in the future. I completely and wholeheartedly agree, Andrew McIrvin, Mr. Doctor, and that's why I'm a little concerned about clubs, small, decent, fabulous clubs, otherwise fabulous clubs like Shelter Island Yacht Club, getting involved in the very messy America's Cup world. David James has it. You're right, David. It was on this day in 2022 that the PM, remember all that? We went through all that. It's hard to remember what a mess 2021 and 22 were, and all the speculation, all the time we spent on this show speculating as to whether or not the Olympics were going to get run or postponed or whatever. But of course, another clue was the COVID came along. And finally, an agreement between the IOC, and this guy apparently was a hell of a good guy, and he led the country by what I'm hearing and reading, and Japanese friends and so on, that he did a good job leading the country, including postponing the Tokyo 2022 Olympic and Paralympic Games to the summer of 2021 due to the global COVID-19 pandemic.
That was a good idea.
This day in history, 24 March 2020, yeah, it worked out much better, as we said on this show, apropos what happened in 1980.
Yes.
Much better than canceling the Olympics, which it looked for a while like they were going to do, because it was going to be a huge additional cost for them to move it a year, but it was also a huge additional cost just, the sunk cost anyway of just canceling the game. So
Yeah.
Andrew McIrvin says, yeah, the America's Cup is how to bankrupt a club very fast. Well, they have to have a good deal, and hopefully they've got, as somebody said in the chat earlier, hopefully they have a good general counsel, good legal advice, and good PR advice, because you're going to have the eyeballs of at least the sailing community, and probably, you're going to have New York Times going to be writing about this. You're going to have a whole lot of people now all of a sudden focusing on the Shelter Island Yacht Club out there on the north shore of Long Island.
Long Island.
Long Island. You did it better than I. Say that again. Long Island Lockjaw.
Long Island, yeah.
That's what they say.
I know.
People in Low Cost Valley, in Oyster Bay, Long Island Lockjaw. They talk like this with their teeth exposed. Is that true, Julia, or is that?
I don't know, but somebody I knew always said Long Island.
Well, Dawn's a good Michigan girl. She wouldn't talk that way, so we'll have to ask her sometime if Long Island Lockjaw is a thing. That gets us, however,
with no clothes.
With no clothes.
Or a boat.
Ed Worley, the AC is becoming toxic, the atmosphere in the team base location. Oh, yeah, okay, now I'm not going to put that on the show. I'll save that for Friday, Ed. But, Julia, there was an article that appeared in the last couple of days in a dredging industry publication.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was Ed or somebody else or several. I got several people sent it to me this morning, and I didn't have time to stick it in the show, and I didn't really want to beat more up on the America's Cup. But this goes on and on and on. It's a dredging industry talking about the reclamation that they're trying to do in Bagnoli, that area where the team bases are supposed to be built to the, I guess, really kind of the northwest of Naples. And all the problems they're having and all the challenges they're going to have to remediate this area that had factories and industrial, dirty, filthy, without many environmental regulations at the time, if any. And I will run that story on Friday. We've been talking about it, but only anecdotally, and now we have some pretty good info via this article. And thanks, Ed Worley, and whoever else sent that to me this morning. The last leg. And by the way, before I forget, back on that SailGP story, somebody said that it was going to be in this basin. Here's that super yacht, Doc. So we are now looking. This is a little bit different. Right? This is north.
This is Naples.
No, I'm sorry. I'm back on Valencia.
Valencia. Okay.
Sorry, I apologize for jumping around here. But before I forget, I called this up during one of the videos so I could show you. This is more or less up the coast to Barcelona. Something like that. And north is over here somewhere. That's kind of northeast. It's been too long since I lived there. But suffice to say, there is the super yacht dock. We're showing this, we're showing this from a little bit different perspective than I did earlier in the show. Super yacht dock, there's the Porto America's Cup, the AC port right here. And this was all built more or less for the Cup, and then this outer breakwater, and they've been adding stuff and trying to make the port bigger. Maybe they have made it bigger since we lived there. But I'm told, one of you told me, was it Groover or somebody said that it's actually going, the SailGP racing is going to be in this basin.
Oh, no.
It's not a very big area. I thought it was going to be out here.
Yes.
Outside of this wall, which is, they got a nice wall and some stands up there. I mean, it would be a nice high. You could actually go up here on this thing when the America's Cup racing was out here and beyond. But the America's Cup courses, and you could see it pretty well, not so well from the beach because you were down low, but up here you could see it pretty darn well on top of that, whatever you would call that groin, that big breakwater. But I'm told by one of you that it's going to be right here in that area.
Oh, how can they do that?
It looks pretty small to me. So I'd be surprised, but there's a thing there called the Vela Beach Club. And that's supposedly where the VIP action is going to be and so on. So we'll see. The normal breeze is from the east or northeast. Sometimes it comes down the shore from the east. But it's an easterly south sea breeze, and sometimes it comes up out of the south too.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is where they're going to do it, in that area, that could be something else. Bing Bong's asking if I'm jumping back now. Has the John Sweeney interview with Greg Norman been taken down? I don't know if Greg's taken that down or not. More 4-minute racing, Jody Shields says. Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
It looks like that's what it is. Okay, Julia, the last leg. We're to the last leg. Let's get on with it. And back to yet normal, proper, decent yacht racing. This will make Jon Emmett and a few others of you happy. Do you know where TPE is? What Olympic country code is TPE? And in a town in TPE called Pengdu. They have just completed the ILCA Asia Cup 2026 in I think it's Pengdu, maybe it's Penghu.
Probably Malaysia.
Penghu TPE. What's that stand for? Rick Bannerow's got it. He's got Taipei, and that is, Rick, the right answer. So it's in China. Jon Emmett knows it's Taipei. And this event has been going on for the last week. And it wrapped up here on the 24th, today actually. And they had not a huge fleet, but the fact that they have top laser sailers from all around Southeast Asia and beyond. And I just geographically wanted to show you where Penghu, I guess it's Penghu, not Pengdu, is. It's right here. And you'd think, well, that's part of Taipei. Well, I got news for you. That's Penghu, Taipei, but there is where it is. It's an island off Taiwan. Taipei, of course, Chinese Taipei is what the IOC call it because they're trying to keep their skirts clean with both mainland China, with the PRC, the People's Republic of China. But this is a little island I'd never heard of, off of Taiwan, almost between Taiwan and Hong Kong. Well, I mean, toward direction of Hong Kong. And they had this regatta, and it just wrapped up. And it looks like they had a hell of a good event.
Had a little bit of everything, pretty strong wind on the first day and lighter on the second day and third. And today we had a light wind in the first race and better wind on the second race. So I was pretty happy about it.
So actually coming to the last day today, I was actually losing to the Korean who was first and wanted to focus more on just doing my best race today instead of trying to really focus on getting first. So it's better to just focus on my own races, and I managed to achieve what I wanted to do today.
Today was nice win. I really like this win, and I think this regatta was very fun. The win was nice. We have very different win each day, so I think it's very nice to come here.
So Icarus Sports produced another nice video.
Yes.
And Jody says in the chat, what are those white flappy things? Hard to believe that boat's been around since the early 70s at laser, and it goes from strength to ILCA. How easy is it now to say ILCA instead of laser?
Not for me.
It just kind of rolls off the...
I did never get there.
You didn't?
but I will.
The ILCA. Yeah, nice. Our beloved sport being practiced, being run. Apparently a great event with kids from all over Southeast Asia, so that's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
And Bravo Zulu to all involved, which gets us to the D block here, Julia. And your favorite gentleman for Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Have a little bit different Whiskey Tango Foxtrot to start out here, since we are the drinking show, we're not really, but we have the reputation sometimes of being the drinking show with the sailing habit.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Oh, isn't that good?
So you're still wondering what are they selling, or what is the base of this commercial? Boating is an art form. Best practice sober. This is a sobriety ad from Norway. Smooth sailing from I guess Avaktil, Nord.no for Norway. I don't know, never heard of them before. Several of the FOSI sent that to us, Julia. I thought we should.
Oh, we should have seen. Should see that.
I
No
think we
question
should
about
run
it.
that, because we do get accused of
Yes.
talking too much about booze on this show, even though some of us don't drink. Not sure why he didn't pull the main all the way up. Yeah, his sandbag didn't seem to work very well, did it, Jon Emmett? His main was down, his boom was in the boat. There is one that apparently the guy's been told, the guy up on the bow has been told, he's the cook, obviously. He says, I wonder if that's really true, that the cook always goes down with the ship. Meanwhile, the captain and the others are down here. And the poor old cook has been told, you always go down with the ship. That came from Commodore Harrington. I thought that was a good way to close the show, because you never know when we're going down with the ship, Julia.
I know.
On any of these segments. God, it's an hour and 45 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
So much for a short show. Well, it's a lot of fun. We're having fun. Similar commercial for him docking, I've seen that docking commercial as well, Rick. And yeah, okay, enough of that. But that's two of the three. The third one we always like to end on, of course, is this one from Blake Middleton, All the Smartest People Sail. And TFE Sr., my beloved father, has always said, for as long as Clark Chapin or I've known him, sailing isn't for everybody, but it is for anybody. Which gets us to the Julia finish line. Gets us to the finish line, Julia, and you like to say.
Yes, this is your great opportunity to like, follow, and share so that we attract more people.
Indeed. Well, it's good for the algorithm. It helps us. Instead of getting $17 from Facebook, we might get $27 next month. I don't know. But where we do seriously get support is through Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. And without your monthly support, those of you who do contribute a few bucks or more, it's very much appreciated. It's how we have the equipment and the software and pay for the streaming fees and so on. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Don Lunabos. Thank you, Tier de Jong, Joe Holtzman, for your kind comments. But also thanks to everybody who do contribute via patreon.com. Much appreciated. And those who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show, we always like to thank them as well. Julia?
Yes?
That's a long list, as always. In fact, I didn't even get all the names in there, like the Telegraph and the Times of London, and so I just didn't have time. Steve Atkins, who was one of the people helped me track down the Challenging Yacht Club, as did Bannero, as did a couple other Long Island Sounders, Julia. Long Island Sounders. And that's our show number 920 for today. We hope, Julia, thank you very much for all you do. And we hope you all had a great show. We had a good weekend pass, and have a great rest of your weekend going forward. We'll see you Friday, same time, same channel. Sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.